Bam.
Fantastic.
What up, Yang Gang? We are live again. And now we've got Sheridan Lund. He is running for U.S. Congress in the midterm elections out of New Mexico's 1st District for the House of Representatives.
Yes, thank you, boys.
Welcome, dude. That is awesome.
I'm so excited, and there's so much happening. I think I should start because we are having a good little chat. That was probably should have thrown on live. I love being transparent and getting the word out, especially when you can get a look inside, to see how these things roll, because it's going to take grassroots action to change things.
Yep.
I'm Sheridan Lund. As Boyce said, I'm running for U.S. Congress in the midterm elections. I'm very excited because the core of my campaign is the value of Americans, $2,000 every month from birth to death. I'm very excited to get basic income across the line and to actually get relief to our families, because they've been hurting and hurting hard, and I can really feel it in my local neighborhood.
So like your background's, you're an electrician.
Yes.
And so what makes you go from electrician to politician? What's the straw that broke the back and said, okay, that's it, I'm gonna do something about it?
It started, my political hobbyism really started where a lot of Gen Z started with their political hobbyism, I feel, with the 2016 election. That hellfire of a year, which is really nothing compared to the Dust Bowl of the year 2020 was. It was truly another year.
The long year.
Anyways, it was a long year. I'm so glad we're out of it. So back in 2018, like November 2018, I was doing work for my business administration class on basic income and the ramifications it has for small businesses. And I found Andrew Yang running like just before he got on the Joe Rogan, and I was astonished. I was like, is someone really this bold, like to really go for like just flat? And he had a way to pay for it. That was the most amazing part. And, I was like, oh, that's cool. And finished my class and just went on. And then in February of 19, the Joe Rogan podcast dropped. And I, along with everyone else, was like, whoa, this guy is real. He wasn't just like a dream I had. And that's really when I became a hardcore member of the Yang Gang. Like I got all of his gear. I started talking about him at campus to the point that my supervisor and an administrator had to talk to me a few different times for several different political reasons, because I was work study at the time. So I was technically an employee, but because of the ambiguities, I definitely pushed my limits there to help spread the message.
Because that's federal grant money, and you can't show favoritism on college campuses. I know the deal on that.
Yeah, but I'm just a college kid, and what are they going to really do? Like, really?
Play dumb, dude. Just play dumb and move along.
Yeah, and I got away with a lot. I got a lot done there. I threw a few stickers on like lamp posts. And it was a crazy time in 19, like for the Yang Gang. Like that's really where I got a lot of my political hobbyist experience, going out, protesting, talking with people, seeing what tools are around to help organize. And towards the end of 2019, like even right up to the last day, it felt like there was, even with the media blackout that Yang was dealing with, even with all the establishment obstacles that were placed. Well, I don't want to say placed, because while the DNC wasn't exactly a kind spirit to Andrew Yang, it's not like they explicitly attacked him. It's rather that they didn't help him and helped other campaigns in lieu of helping him. So he had an unfair advantage because he didn't have help. But like the first day of 2020, it felt different, like I could sense it. I was like, why did yesterday feel like this was going to be the greatest year of all time, and today feels like it is the apocalypse? And
yeah,
I think I know why I felt that, because that was like the first week Yang went hard in Iowa. And I think that was his greatest mistake. Iowa was too expensive, too contested. The attention economy was garbage for a small player like Andrew Yang. He had to get more grassroots, go into more fertile ground, as it were, in like New Hampshire, South Carolina, where poverty rates are much higher, where jobless rates are much higher, and you can get people to turn out more for actual political engagement. And that would have been, especially if he had done that strategy and held out until March. Because remember, March was the changing month. That was when everything shut down. Like
for the COVID, March 16th.
Yep. If he had hung out to the South Carolina election, he would have become the comeback kid for real.
It would have definitely been a thorn in their side. And he still would have had a problem in the establishment.
He would have had a problem, but he would have had the people's support. They would have seen what was happening and going, "Oh my gosh, the Asian man was right."
Yes, UBI makes sense. I know. And, hindsight's always 2020, and it was really painful for me to look back at my 1 year remarks on Facebook. This was 1 year ago, and it's me making videos on January and February, going to Iowa for Yang Week, being a precinct captain, showing up in Clinton, Iowa for the election. I live streamed the election and the what do you call that? The oh hell. They in Iowa they got their own system.
The caucuses, yeah.
Yeah, I live streamed my caucus until my phone died.
I think I was watching that live stream. Thank you so much.
I gave my little speech and shit and talked to some Pete supporters and some Bernie supporters while they were doing their voting, just talking to people, getting to know people, doing all that stuff, really riding fucking high, dude, feeling it to my bones. And then February 11th.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, that's right.
Well, and here's the thing. Gosh. My 1 year anniversary, my very first Andrew Yang video was on February 10th, 2019. 2020, nice. February 10th. All right, guys, 1 year ago, my very first Yang video. Tomorrow's year 2. I was like, shit. And that was that. And I was actually live streaming with Kai and Emilio.
Yeah. When he came out and said that he was suspending his campaign, my heart sank. It just sank.
Yeah, it hurt.
And I felt cold for like a couple of minutes into his speech. Like all of his words kind of felt a little more hollow after that, just because he was like,
come on,
yeah,
come on, bro.
Boys jinxed it. Yeah.
Oh.
No, I really think it was Andrew more than his supporters. He needed to think about the resources and his strengths and weaknesses, and he needed to position himself against the market in a better way.
Mm-hmm. So what lessons did you learn that you're going to apply to your campaign now that you said, okay, F it, my name's in the hat, let's go? And who is, well, let me just start with that. Shut up, voice. Go ahead.
Sorry. So I should probably describe, it was May, I think. Yeah, it was May of 2020 that I lost my job at the college, and like CNM and APS and the other governmental agencies around town are like the number one employer in this town. So it's kind of hard to see. I mean, aside from like food and retail, like in-person, small hourly wage jobs like that. But I have a college degree, so I need to be aiming higher than just entry level, you know?
Right, right.
And what really hurt the most was finding out I have such a progressive state, such a state that knows what poverty is and knows how to deal with poverty, because we are a poor state.
Mm-hmm.
And it actually takes care of its citizens by and large. To find out during the greatest crisis of my lifetime, more than likely, the limitations on our unemployment system are archaic, draconian, and honestly aggressive on citizens. They are meant to hurt people, genuinely.
Well, think about it, it's an insurance program.
I completely understand, but it's supposed to be a social safety net so that people don't starve, so we don't have homeless people, so that we don't like see the horrors that poverty can inflict. Like, sorry, let me get back to my story. So my state's unemployment system, New Mexico, has an awkward cap system where you need to wait, I think it's like 6 or 8 years for your unemployment insurance to cycle. Because a couple of years ago when I used unemployment, I maxed it out and I hit my cap, but I had found a job with the college at that point, so it was all okay. And I didn't think twice about it. When this pandemic happened and I went to apply for unemployment again, it said I still had my cap from 2 years ago. So I was SOL from even the federal benefits.
Wow.
And to top it all off, my small business, which I had started in December of 2019, just before this crisis happened, which was a cannabis smoking lounge for our medical patients, because we have a legal medical program and the state had just passed a law to make lounges a legal thing. Like, people could actually congregate, share cannabis,
and shoot the shit,
talk and support each other without getting raided.
Right.
Like, we actually had real protection. And so I made a little business and I started hosting smoking sessions every Friday. It was called Buds WAP, Weekly Aggregation of Patients.
That's awesome.
But in 2020, WAP got a new acronym. So
whopped upside the head.
Yeah, right. But when the crisis rolled around, I filed with the PPP to try and get some of that CARES monies, a loan to get my business to keep it going.
Mm-hmm.
And my business was too new for the loans. I was able to get $1,000 from the emergency injury disaster loan for myself as a single employee. And then I got that $1,200 slap in the face and said, good luck.
There's your cake and your icing. There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah, good luck.
I'm just grateful. I have a very frugal life, a very generous family, and I'm able to keep myself going because I've endured poverty for so long. But it's harrowing to think about the people who don't have all that. Like, just getting tossed into the street.
Yeah.
Said, like, good luck. I hope your business kicks off.
Yeah, no support, man. That's tough. I don't have like a family I can fall back on. Like, I'm on my own. I got to make shit happen, Yeah. And if I like broke my leg, I'd be homeless in a couple months possibly. Like, I'm one injury, one misstep of fortune, and I'm gonna be in real trouble. Like, that's why I'm like, I sympathize with people, man.
So after experiencing that horror again, because the first time I went on unemployment, it was a terrible experience, because what was sad was for losing over 20 hours, over almost 30 hours a week working at some small restaurant that didn't properly pay its employees. I was only earning $9 less on unemployment. And that was really my first introduction into the stupidity of our welfare state. Just encouraging people to either scam or cheat the system in some way because it is more profitable. Like, our entire capitalist system says you should go after the most profit for the least amount of work, or at least the least amount of work in your opinion. And it's kind of barbaric to see our government so wholeheartedly tout that as a founding principle in this crisis, to go get a job. Like, the best stimulus check is a paycheck, and at the same time create systems and hamper those systems so that they don't even do the most basic function of their intentions. It really is upsetting, and I was just chalking it up to like corruption at the time, because I was still just more hobbyist than activist. But as 2020 went on, I started to see that it's not getting better. Like, if you just let it be, it's not really getting better. And I'm a political pluralist, so I believe that if you put your effort in and you push the scales, you'll make a difference, because every grain of sand matters in the desert.
Yeah.
And let me get back, because I am neurodivergent, and I do have ADHD, so my stories get very tangenty, and I have to really stay focused if I want to get through a point. So back onto the timeline of late 2020 with straight up, honestly, fascist propaganda happening. Like, there's no other way to describe what was happening from our Republican leadership.
Yeah.
Like, the stop the steal nonsense, the nonsense about Trump having actually won, or that there was some miscarriage of our election in some form, especially by the people who are working on processing the ballots. Like, they are just average people of the parties. Like, they're just dudes. Like, they're just people. They're not like any extreme person, because our parties really limit for that. Like, the political process, I'm like you were a precinct chair now. I was mentioning before we got on the broadcast, with all the redistricting happening, my precinct actually didn't exist a couple of months ago. So because of how many more Democratic voters we've had in our ward, we've had to add a whole nother precinct. And it's very exciting, because there's I was mentioning also that, like, everything is happening like all at once. Like, it's just let me get back to my timeline, and you'll understand where I'm at now. So after the election, and I was hard into the Green Party. I was like, this is the year we get a third party, and it's going to be the Greens. And oh my God, we got less than 500,000 votes. Like, what an appalling turnout.
Yeah, less than 2016.
Yeah, less than 2016. And someone actually like put it really perfectly, and it just like slapped me upside the head. Like, as a political hobbyist, I should have seen this coming. This was too heated, this election. It didn't allow for a margin of error. There was too much vote shaming. There was too much stress on making sure that one side or the other won. The duopoly was too strong in 2020. It kind of choked the air for the third parties.
Mm-hmm.
So, and it just makes so much sense, you know. So after the election and all the nonsense of Stop the Steal happening, like I really saw like my grandparents and my father are definitely still Republican. I don't know, honestly, if they're, as I would call, old guard Republican or the trumpet Republicans, but I definitely know that they were very hard into the check every vote, make sure every vote counts nonsense, that, and you could hear it was like that bad faith kind of intonation where they want to make sure that no bad people voted. It's like, people need to vote. There's no bad people voting. There's not even bad processes. Like, this was the most secure election in our history. I truly don't understand how our right-wing media can just go on for months and months and have our leadership join in on just abject falsehood. Like, we need an informed democracy. We need an informed people to make sure that we're at least thinking like on what our own values are and what we want to have happen in the world. So that was really a little disheartening, but it came to a point on January 6th. I like I was mentioning, had just gotten a job with a little homes manufacturer, really good work, but on January 6th, I couldn't just sit idly by and tinker in the economy like a good little consumer, you know. We almost lost our nation, like, genuinely. I know people are saying that this is like a failed coup and highlighting it to Hitler's failed first coup in, like 100 or so years ago. But I think Andrew Yang's words ring really true here. Decades happened last year.
Yeah.
In October, Michigan nearly had its governor killed.
That's my
because of trumpets. And to have such a fascist attack was the first failed coup. We almost had the ballots of our certifying electoral college burned. We almost had congressional members killed. We almost had the executive literally eat the legislative. Article 2 eating Article 1. Like, I know people go on and on that the presidency is the highest office of the land, but that's bullshit. Like, it just isn't true. If you read the Constitution, Article 1, Word 1 is representative. There's no higher office than representing the people directly of our local constituencies, of a small, direct, fluid number of people.
The president is just the figurehead of the executive.
Exactly. He's a figurehead of the nation. He speaks for foreign policy. He speaks for the states as a collective, and he organizes the functions of law rather than what law will look like.
Yeah, well, Congress writes them, the president signs them, and the Supreme Court is there to make sure it's constitutional. That's it.
Exactly. And I actually do want to touch on that as well, because I'm a constitutional textualist, and I love the fight for getting public financing of campaigns. HR1 is a great step forward. It would make my campaign so much easier.
Yes,
The green game is real. It's such a brutal phase of campaigning. It's getting your message out, getting it to enough people to collect volunteers, to make sure that you can actually get your functions and events going, to properly pressure and connect with other leaders to get things happening.
Mm-hmm.
It all takes money. It really all takes money. And I think it's unwise of the Democratic Party to attack Citizens United. I think that it was a wise decision of our Supreme Court on that case.
Wait, to keep Citizens United?
Yes.
Oh, I'm on the opposite side of that aisle, that's for sure.
Yes, I do think we should keep Citizens United because the Supreme Court said it should be, just as Roe v. Wade, the Supreme Court said it should be. Mm-hmm. There's no reason to overturn it. What we need to do as citizens is we need to be innovative. We need to be creative, and we need to use our democracy properly. Andrew Yang had a great policy that I don't think he talked enough about, which was democracy dollars.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Mm-hmm.
If we get cash into the hands of people who already have a basic income that they can specifically spend on anything political at all, anything at all, buying political gear, supporting political candidates, pooling money for even a local government thing. Mm-hmm. It will supercharge our democracy, and it will beyond flush out the lobbyist dollars that corrupt a lot of our officials. It will rise new leaders that can properly speak to the issues and to the needs of our people. I think that we need to have that abundance mindset. We need to keep giving into our communities. We need to get resources and plans and procedures and new efficiencies built in to make our communities more whole, rather than attacking or trying to limit or regulate. The American scorecard was another really great policy of Yang's, especially if you were to tie it to taxes. You could genuinely circumvent greed, tame health insurance companies, actually make a lot of our major markets like education and housing work very well to bring their costs down, because there would be a choice by the business owner to pay a lot in taxes or to give a lot of money to people by making their prices cheaper. So it would be a win-win for either way.
So I want to share your website, your donation links, but do you have any specific policies that address these issues?
I do.
Let me bring this up. Sorry.
Specifically, I have on our mission page there, I have a 5-point plan to deal with a majority of our issues.
Okay, let me read this for you guys. It's a 5-point plan. 2 core tenets: every constituent can agree on lead our decisions. Can't agree on lead. Okay, my bad.
Yeah.
First, that our shared government must be universally applied. Means testing and other arbitrary rules that grant the power of denial to unaccountable agencies must be struck down with every tool available. Second, American freedom. We must trust Americans to be honest and decent citizens. We have far too many laws and not enough enforcement of laws that matter to public health, safety, and or in aiding the general welfare. With these 2 pillars, we will unify our nation. Wait.
Yes, I'm definitely running on a collaborative unity campaign. I want to get everyone involved because we need every voice to make our democracy fully function. Because as much as I do dislike the actions of what happened on January 6th, there was over 20,000 people at that rally.
Mm-hmm.
And they had genuine grievances enough to storm our Capitol. So there's no easy way to do this, but I hope that my plan is at least enough to get a common agreement that we need to get the biggest issues out of our way so we can start getting on the details. First, I aim to cut all brackets except for the very top of income tax in half, because I feel that that is an immoral tax to tax your earned income. We should instead be taxing spending, taxing new technologies, taxing actual capital, not labor, to put it bluntly.
So up to, if you earn over $1.3 million a year.
Yes.
So and that's after 1.3, they get 69% tax?
Yes. Okay. And that is after 1.3. So you can earn 1.2 and still have a nice, comfortable 15% tax rate.
So how did you come upon the $1.3 million cap?
Honestly, that's the average for most high-level executives. They will be either taking that in income or in bonuses, and they'll be marking that as earned income. So unless they want to shift their assets into more tax comfortable, let's say, ways, then they should be paying for that luxury of earning over $1.3 million a year. That is a luxury. That is an absolute privilege to have.
Okay.
Because even after that high of a tax rate, you have over $500,000 every year. Like, if you can't live on that, that's your own fault.
Okay, then you got the $2,000 a month, but yours starts at birth.
Exactly.
So that's a tweak.
Because this is something that Yang didn't harp on, and he would have easily swept the, like, I know that he was having problems with Democrats, but if he had spoke to what that money meant, he would have actually swept up every demographic hardcore. Because if you looked at the data, women were the most affected by his message. They immediately understood what that money meant. Mm-hmm. Men, unfortunately, don't get it very quickly. And we are often in the levers of power to advance such a message. So he should have gone and said, because we've all had the stimulus check. We've all had the second wimpy stimulus check, and we're all waiting on this third one. Mm-hmm. But that's not a basic income. We all know this.
Right.
Because to have a basic income confers one solid thing. It's not that second. It's not that third check. It's that fourth, that fifth, that sixth, that first year of checks. That first check that you get when your child is born. That first check that your grandkid gets and calls you and says, hey, I just got my first check as an adult. I'm going to spend it all on booze and have a party. Want to join? Those are the moments that we live for. Those are the moments that a basic income makes possible. That's why I'm here. And that's why it has to be birth to death. It has to be a true ownership, a true right of our citizenry.
But how do you have any kind of cap on that? Any limitations on that?
Why would you limit that? The entire point of our capital system is to build and to grow and to expand.
Yeah. But the problem is on this is it's giving the conservatives a very, very juicy talking point bone to chew on of you're just going to pay people to make babies, yada, yada, yada.
You know, and I completely am in support of that. I am pro-choice, but I am on the border with pro-life. I understand their pains and I understand their concerns. And I truly believe we do not have enough people. We need so many more people because space is hard.
Going down. But what I would see is my biggest pushback would be, okay, someone has 5 kids. That's $10,000 a month.
Well, here's
And
the
that's
here's
over
the
a year.
real way that we make this powerful is, yes, we should support single mothers, especially if they are burdened with kids, because I do believe every mother has the capacity to care, especially for their own kids. I really dislike the idea that most Democrats have, especially establishment Democrats, that we should have a federal jobs guarantee and make everyone take care of every other person's kid. Like, just pay parents. And I would say that the way that you limit the abuse of this, is you let kids have actual power over that capital. If they, once they're old enough, want to take control of their income, they have full right to take it from their parents and put it in a separate bank account, have whatever protections they want with it, and even live a separate life if they feel comfortable to.
But they can't do that until they're 18, though.
I think that they should do it as early as they can.
Nah,
I don't think there should be a cap.
I don't know if I can read that one, because I've seen a lot of dumbass kids, man.
Oh, I completely agree. But I say stupidity does provide our own life lessons. Like, I've done some really stupid things and learned a ton from them. So I think that that's an argument against life. Like, life happens.
Yeah, but I think like I said, the hard part's getting will this get you votes? Right? So
Yeah.
I just think that this is going to really be a hard talking point to sell. I agree that there should be help.
I love to have the debate, because I have a true question to those people. Do you love your neighbor? In our democracy, truly, do you love your neighbor? Because if you do, you believe in human life, and you believe that has a value, and that government should provide that literal value of human life every month.
Mm-hmm. Well, see, I would even be, see, to me, if we did that, I think that you should be able to get rid of a different tax burden, right? So instead of using property taxes to pay for schools, if you fund the parents would have the resources to say, okay, I want to invest in this school for my children. You invest in their education that way, instead of getting it through property taxes. That way the lowest income neighborhoods get the worst schools. Then it's just truly a numbers game then, and the better schools get funded.
Well, that also plays into our health insurance, and that's why I talk. That's why I have my 5-point plan. I fully believe that we need to get our entire healthcare system in order, because my neighbor is a veteran, and he has so many genuine grievances with the VA because they have screwed him over time and time again. But my dad works at the VA as one of those, I don't know what the technical term is, but basically customer service agent to deal with people's cases and to make sure that they do get the benefits they deserve. So I know it's not just the VA, and he thinks that my neighbor, that it should be privatized. And, that might be a good discussion, but I'd have it in a larger question on why we had 500,000 people die in a once-in-a-century pandemic. Why did our private healthcare system fail so drastically? Like, India has over 1 billion people. Yeah. 1 billion. And they've had less than 150,000 deaths. Like, how is the richest nation in the world allowing just rampant death?
Yeah. We've allowed it. That's all there is to it. It just happened. And we had piss poor leadership. That's why I always go back to leadership. I'm a veteran as well. And so that's why I wasn't a fan of Trump, because of his poor leadership style. I didn't think that's good leadership.
I had so many problems with Trump. Like, there was one little moment I was almost grateful for him. And you know, like, so naturally he dashed it for himself, because he constantly portrayed himself as like the strong man, authoritarian leader. And there's only one good use for an authoritarian leader, and that's during a crisis. And a crisis happened, and I was like, oh well, at least we have a strong man who's going to like fire people or shit will get done, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But none of that happened. He sabotaged himself. Like, he literally, there was one news story that truly lit me on fire. I was livid when I read about this. There was a plan by the USPS, our National Postage Service, to send every single American five free fabric face masks. Just everyone.
Mm-hmm.
And they had the masks, they were in boxes, they were ready to go, and Trump stopped it. And I was so baffled. Like,
I didn't hear that one.
And you know, all I can do is be grateful for the opportunity, because it's such a clear example of a con man who will steal from you with every chance he gets. And it's emblematic of the new Republican Party, the new GOP that is forming around him. It's that he will stop the government from helping you just so you can spend more money at some other company getting what you already need.
Well, I'll say this. If he didn't screw up the response to COVID, he probably would have won again. Yeah,
I completely agree. That was a narrow win. Like, I know that electorally it was a landslide, but when you look at it county by county, it was close.
Yeah, for sure. So like he struck a chord with 7 million more people, which surprised me personally. But if the economy didn't tank and he didn't handle COVID so poorly, he would have won by probably a larger margin than Biden won this time, honestly. And I just
absolutely, Biden was such a weak candidate, and
he still is.
He's still. You're right. I don't want to dismiss how terribly he's been. Like, I'm still baffled that we bombed another country and most of Congress still doesn't know what happened. Like, they don't have any details on like the specifics on why we bombed another country.
Unconstitutionally. Illegally.
I know. It's
100% anti-war.
I am too. I'm very much a capitalist, and every bomb, every bullet that is ever produced is directly a negative dollar value, because it will destroy capital, it will destroy people, and it will just destroy economies. That is what it is designed to do. Every single weapon.
But I will say this. Today, the Biden administration, I won't say released a statement, but made a gesture that they want to get out of Syria and give Iran, hand the reins over to Iran to kind of self-regulate Afghanistan, to have them be the powers that be in their area and say, listen, we can't be the foreign invaders that try to occupy. You guys are the leaders, if you will, with the most.
That is a delicate political line to walk, because
it is.
We could genuinely get a great ally out of this that could unite the region, or we could really be shooting ourselves in the foot.
Yeah, it's possible. But here's my thing. We can't keep doing the same thing and expect a different result.
I completely agree. Like, bombing cities and occupying areas is not how you build nations. It's
so
just
20-year occupation didn't work. We figured that out after 20 damn years.
I know. How did we, the capitalist nation, the nation that defines ourselves on our cost efficiencies, waste so much money, trillions of dollars just burnt, and not even burnt good, not even effectively.
It's because the right people made money. That's all.
Yeah.
That's all.
Yeah. Let me
so let's get back into this. So
yeah, let's get on to the next point.
yeah, you got your American Doctor Network, which is just a universal health care with a public option, right?
So essentially, I really, really enjoy Bernie's Medicare for All, but he's not selling it right, because you need to be honest with people with what this plan is. It's not you're going to get kicked off your doctor. It's not the government is going to just issue you a doctor. It's your doctor is going to get paid whether you choose insurance or not. And you will get seen always by whatever doctor you want, because every doctor will be in the government network, will be in the American Doctor Network.
Okay. So is it single payer or is it?
Yes. I ideally would like single payer, because private insurance is a middleman that just burdens the taxpayer. Like, even in the best cases, if we
agree with Bernie's timeline on that increment,
I personally think that there's no increment. We don't need to like do any incrementalization. If they're already getting a basic income of $2,000 a month from birth to death, and I do intend to make that retroactive for your life. Like, they fucked up on the pandemic and not getting us that cash retroactive to March. They can make it retroactive to when you were born.
There's just not enough. Like, where's that money going to come from?
It's going to come from debt and future taxes. That's the reality of it.
That's a tough sell.
It's a tough sell, but guess what? We fucked up for 100 years. It's time we actually do something. So
wait a minute.
Let me ask you what 100 years of compounding does.
So if someone's literally 100 years old, retroactive that?
Yes. If they lived that long and endured the malice of our state not helping them for that long, they deserve every dime. And I hope they put it to charity, because they aren't going to use it very well.
And not for very long. I find like that's just, I don't know, man. That's a hard sell too.
Hey.
But hey, we're thinking ahead. I'll just leave it at that. It's worth debating. You know.
Yeah, I definitely. I'm not here to do incrementalism. I'm not here for a political career that will last me for decades and ensure that I have a stable way of life. I'm here to make sure that my kids' have a stable life forever.
Well, so with this American Doctor Network, though, the problem with going on day one, all private insurance is done. It's all government single payer. There's no way to ramp up the infrastructure. That's always been the biggest challenge.
You do it just like any other capital acquisition. You merge the efficiencies and you start cutting the losses. I mean, I
know, but like, you look at the problems they had, like with.
I'm not talking about eliminating insurance. I'm talking about nationalizing insurance, just taking it if we need. I'd love to see some private insurance alongside, but if we can't get them to get their prices under control, there's a cost-effective solution just sitting there, you know.
Okay, so then, and also just to be clear, guys, this is a zero copay, zero deductible, zero premium network.
The only thing you should be paying is taxes. That's it. I truly believe that if you are contributing your fair share in taxes, there is no reason for your basic needs to be extorted out of you any further.
So, but here's the thing, though. You're saying cut the income taxes in half, but then have a higher demand. That's going to be the hard part to the round peg into the hole.
It's all about controlling what you tax, because income is very specific. It's what you earn. It's what most people actually pay in tax.
Yeah, right.
It was the tax we created at the beginning of the century to replace the alcohol tax because we had prohibition. The income tax really was only a stopgap on having more debt at that time. And that was when we were bound on the gold standard. So if we reduce income tax, all we need to do is start taxing what's actually working in our economy. New technology, actual spending, entertainment and advertising that everyone hates. I very much believe in sin taxes. I completely believe that if you're going to be greedy, if you're going to be aggressive on your messaging and just dump money into some project, then you have the means to pay taxes.
Well, define sin tax for me. That has different context for different people.
And I'm not going to define it because every county does have their own definition. So I'm just going
That's what I mean. So like a sin tax could be alcohol, marijuana, cigarettes.
Yes, I very much believe in sales taxes, especially on substances. And that is a great revenue source we can achieve and cut crime down with by just legalizing all drugs and regulating them in a taxed environment.
Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah,
we have plenty of revenue sources. We just need to actually tap into them.
Yeah. So your next one is higher education for all. It says with only 1 out of 3 people will go through higher education, there's still 100 million people now in or through college or in debt because they wanted to learn more. We must help them or any other American who wants to do more for our country, including increasing funding of our public schools and teachers' salaries. So are you saying, what do you mean by that? So does that mean college?
There's a lot you can do with that, because the goal is getting more people into higher education, because we need more technical skilled people. We are really on the knife's edge as a competitive economy with China and Europe right now. There's the old joke in machine learning that China's only 12 hours behind America. So we need to just get more people, more education, and we need to do it at any cost. I'm for completely eliminating student loan debt, because most of that debt was gained malice, was gained as a scam in get rich quick schemes. Most famously, I'm sure, the Trump University. And there's no proper value for education, because education is one of those waning and waxing kind of a things where you don't know when you need who knows what, because everyone knows everything that you need to get through everything together, but you don't know when. And you need to keep everyone alive until they can actually properly contribute. So we need to get the burden of student loan debt, of these incredibly obscene tuition rates. And we can do it through a few different ways to curb private campuses' greed by instituting like an American scorecard, by gauging their tax rate on how well they're actually educating the community and how many campuses they're opening. Because
job placement's a big one to me.
I actually am. I completely understand the stock standard politician phrase that we need to build jobs, but I'm going to be real blunt with you. As someone who's made jobs and who's had jobs, a job is one thing. It's cash going to another person. So if we really want full employment, basic income technically is full employment. So I think focusing on jobs is incorrect.
to make the shit we buy.
I'm all for that, and we definitely are going to have the labor market for a long time to come. But I think we need a political change on focusing on human well-being rather than economic well-being, because people need to grow and they will find their own jobs or get busy with their own lives. Because I truly challenge anyone to just sit in a blank room with some water and chips and just be. And if you are, you've become a monk. So we need you anyways.
Well, for me, the college experience can be summed up in 2 phrases: the greatest decision you've ever made or the worst mistake of your life. Either you make 10x the money or you go into 10x the debt or 1,000% debt. Because
and we shouldn't have that mentality, because education is always valuable.
Well, it's not the mentality; it's the results. That's what I'm talking about. It's just
the mentality comes from the results. Like Andrew, I really liked a lot of his phrases. One of the best ones that he said was, "The resources shape the culture, and the culture shapes the resources." So that's where we need to change the mentality so that we can change the results. Because college, all education is really valuable, but not everyone can access the same quality of education. And that's for many reasons, primarily economic.
And so your fifth one is paying down our debt.
Yes, this is the big one, because I do have a lot of big, bold policies and I want to get them done. And I want to have a strong dollar to go alongside it, because I don't want to just eat away our very long-standing currency. It is a true testament.
I will say this, though. The quickest shift of revenue to spend, if you give everyone a basic income, no one qualifies for welfare. That program is now absorbed into that program. So that's part of the funding mechanism. And I see that how you worded that in this section about that.
Yep. Yeah. And I am in favor of stacking. Personally, I think that people will wean themselves off of these public programs as they see fit, because one, they either need that money and are willing to jump through those hoops as well as their basic income, or two, they don't care about that money and they'll stop jumping through those hoops. And either way, they'd
be disqualified though. If you're making $10,000 a month from just off of having 5 people in your home, you will be disqualified for every single program there is, 100%, because you're making double what I make. You know what I mean? So you won't qualify. Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, if you do that, the welfare system is there's no one that should need it. There'd be no one qualified.
Ideally, but there's always going to be edge cases, because the government's not perfect. We have 300 million people. That is over a $250 million. We have an unbelievable amount of people, and it is difficult for the government to get to everyone with a single program. So
I know that, but I'm just saying, like, with like the federal jobs guarantee would pretty much destroy the welfare program. It couldn't afford to even exist because there'd be so few people on it. Because if everyone's making $15 an hour, if they get 40 hours a week, if their job isn't automated,
and that's the key there. That's why I dislike the federal jobs guarantee so much.
Yeah,
I'm in support of a federal jobs board and just having the government absorb all the job board companies, and just having one listing for all jobs in the nation. But a federal jobs guarantee is such a stupid thing, in my opinion. It's as stupid as Mao's Great Leap. Like,
well, for a federal jobs guarantee, it's like, okay, we have to create a job for this citizen. So I'm gonna pay this person to dig a ditch, this person to fill it back in.
Exactly. That's exactly what would happen. That's
dumb.
It is. And we need, and that's why I support a basic income over a federal jobs guarantee, because people will make our own jobs. We will do things with our lives. We will spend money. And the most important
create jobs. Entrepreneurs will create jobs, period.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can attest, as a young entrepreneur myself, I want to just keep creating jobs, but I need cash to do that.
You need customers with cash.
Exactly. And that's why I think that it's not that hard of a sell to get the value of human life.
Yeah.
Because you even conservatives, all I have to say is the invisible hand. Don't you want the invisible hand to be strong? The power of the free market to be strong? That's how you do it, by putting economic power into the hands of every person.
Yeah, so I'll say this. It's a bold program. I see your proposed tax of 20%. That's on the VAT.
That's a VAT tax.
Yeah.
Yes. And that is absolutely a pretty high tax, but I think that everyone who's watching and has listened to all the policies in a whole can understand that tax rate.
But that's the average of the European VAT. That's average. It's the industry standard.
And what's funny is that's the exact same tax that would happen if we the people, yes. And what was I saying? Oh, that VAT tax is the exact same thing that the IRS has as the nuclear option. If we somehow, as an entire nation, just completely get demolished, communications, energy, community, and we have to build it all back up, the one thing the IRS is going to do is a flat 20% sales rate tax.
On sales, not on value added.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, mine is value added, so yeah, I think it's a more appropriate thing, so that if we do have the nuclear option, everyone just assumes that, you know, it's 20% on things.
Well, and that would be like nothing's gonna get bought. Then that would, yeah. Well, the world's ending anyway at that point, so it doesn't really matter.
Hey, I fully believe in our American exceptionalism, that we can weather every storm because we plan for everything.
Just not the government.
Just not
just not the government. I have friends in my area that are better prepared than the government.
Yeah, and yep, and that's some truth right there. And that's really what I hope to breathe into our Congress with my transparent, honest, human-focused campaign. Is we need to use our government as what it is. It's a system of sharing our power together. We need to properly fracture it. We need to properly distribute it. And we need to make sure everyone has enough to make themselves heard. That's honestly why I believe so wholeheartedly that Citizens United was a good decision by our Supreme Court, that corporations are people, and they are very separate from their management team, from their shareholders, and from their employees. They have their own unique goals, which often are very profit focused, to the point that they corrupt every other system around them. So they should have their own voice, but it shouldn't be so strong as to drown out regular people. Like we need to have everyone's voice.
Mm-hmm. Well, so let's talk about ofthepeople.us. Are you registered on there?
I am. In fact, Tom did a update video and mentioned me.
Good deal. So what do you need for, like, staffing wise? You need people on like a social media person. Do you need someone that wants to try being a campaign manager?
I actually do have a campaign manager already. Okay. A super awesome dude, Cleve Washington. He has some management experience from banking and from customer service centers, and he actually went up to Iowa during the Yang campaign and helped out with him.
Okay.
So he's got tons of experience, and he's going to be a wealth of knowledge in making this happen. I do need like a community manager to manage our social media and outreach, and we need a most primarily a media manager, because as you were saying, you're editing, like before we hopped on, it's a hard thing to do, like editing and content creating and making sure it's not just enjoyable, good content, but that it's consumable, that you can actually like look at it and it's nice to look at.
Right.
Most of my YouTube videos that I have right now are just talking head speeches about a few topics I hope to express, like my values, my aims, my ideals. But I do need someone to help me put together like actual campaign trailers, stock footage for the campaign, to get the message out in a nicer looking way. because
so people can go to that website though, and that's where they can sign up to find those types of openings that you have, right?
absolutely.
Okay.
So if you are interested, we are offering these as paid opportunities. They will be portions of your effort. So whatever you can get to in the site revenue. The lund2022.com site. And if you go on, actually, it's all the way at the bottom of the homepage there. You'll see jobs, and you can just click it.
Oh, there we go.
And then there's a form there. Just submit your name, your email, and your past experience, your current skills, and I'll get in touch with you. I would love to hire you. I'm very excited to grow the team and to get basic income passed, and to make sure that we get more progressive people in our state's leadership. So speaking of,
yeah, go ahead.
Oh no, please.
What's the current state of the COVID restrictions in your state right now with like in-person meetings and stuff like that?
Oh, that's a great segue. Right now we are loosening restrictions. So I'm still not going to be hosting any events, primarily because to get back to the timeline that I was talking about, the beginning of this year, after the insurrection, and I started my run, I got pretty much launched into our local politics. We had a bunch of redistricting happen, and a bunch of new precincts and ward elections happened. We're currently looking down the barrel of state central committee elections, which I am a contender for. Once I get on the state central committee, I can go on to our Democratic platform team and start making changes to include basic income. That's primarily what I'm going to be doing in the next couple of months, because we have a special election going on. Deb Haaland was nominated to Secretary of the Interior.
Yes.
Great person. She's awesome. Perfect for that job. Much better than a representative.
First Native American to hold a cabinet position in U.S. history, which is disgusting.
It is disgusting. It is. I'm glad that we're having it. I'm glad she definitely deserves it. Her experience specifically puts her in a great position for that.
It's one of the best Biden's made, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
Honestly.
Yeah. Because when she was a representative, she's definitely of the establishment Democrats that I often critique. She's very incrementalist, small plans, not making big waves or getting too much attention to the policies that matter, in my opinion. Because even when I asked her directly a couple years ago, to her face, I asked, "I'm in poverty. How are you trying to reduce poverty? And would you consider a basic income?" And she goes, "Go check in with my table." And I'm like, "That's not what I asked."
Oh boy.
So,
I think her being a native in charge of keeping this country's land free of oil refineries and fracking and all that shit.
I was saying, for the Secretary of Interior, she is wonderfully qualified.
Yes.
I think that she is going to be a great voice on his cabinet team, and she's going to do great work there.
Right.
Which is why I'm really excited for our special election, because we have a lot of great people running.
When is that?
So we don't know.
Oh.
That's the fun part. That's the fun part of being in New Mexico right now. We know nothing. In theory, it will probably be happening sometime around June, because when Deb Haaland officially resigns, whenever that is, she will then trigger the process for the special election.
Wait a minute. She's the acting Secretary of Interior. Has she not been confirmed yet?
I do not believe she's been confirmed yet, and she still technically has to resign before she can be confirmed.
Right. So that's going to be a minute.
Yep.
That's interesting. I don't know.
Technically, New Mexico's District 1 will be without congressional representation for 2 to 3 months.
Wait a minute. So, you're running to replace her
in 2022? Yes.
Right, but somebody else is doing a special election for now.
We actually have a bunch of campaigns running, and I think there's only really 2 that are notable enough to talk about. Antoinette Lopez's campaign and Celinda Guerrero's campaign. Both fantastic progressive people. I do like Celinda a little bit more. She's an actual community organizer who's really been fighting to get people engaged and to get people into the process. And she's an abolitionist, so she would actually make more meaningful changes, in my opinion, than Antoinette. But Antoinette has a lot of seniority, so I think that she's...
But with that person, whoever wins, wouldn't they be an incumbent?
They will then be incumbent, yes, but only for about 8 months. But
still, they'll be like Loeffler was, running to
get
elected.
Yes, it will be almost exactly like Loeffler, except they'll have whoever wins will have a little bit more time than Loeffler had. Loeffler only had like a year and a month. This person will have like a year and a half of governance. But what really matters is only the 8 months after June, because we have a primary system. So as soon as that special election is over, that's when I'm going to really kick my campaign into high gear and do rallies, go town to town, busting through main streets. I'm thinking about getting like one of those speaker vans to just go monthly cash.
Come and get your cash. Yeah.
Exactly. Just to get it out however I can,
So we need people to help you sign up at ofthepeople.us. Of course, donations, the links on the homepage.
Lund2022.com. The donation link is right there. It's an ActBlue link. And what's funny is I actually got secure.actblue.com/2kchecks.
Well, that's what you got for your thing?
I got 2K checks.
Nice. Well done.
I know, right? Perfection.
Yes. So let me think here. Yeah, so you got at least you got some time, man, to keep building a team out and stuff.
I know. I'm so grateful because, especially with where I'm positioned, because once I get onto the state central, I'll have a lot more authority and a lot more legitimacy to actually pull more serious volunteers, even from the party. Like I'll really have state party help. So it's definitely a great timing situation to
also
say the least.
Well, and also just so you guys know, those are just 5 pillars we went through, but there are more policies on the link that says you're a policy wonk.
And I have a bunch more policies that aren't written down. I'm still working on it because I got to find an image, make sure it's not like copyrighted, and then come up with an appropriate amount of text to properly describe my policy, because I don't want to do a lengthy thing like Andrew did. You need to be able to communicate these policies as interesting tidbits, because that's how people talk. Like,
I read every single policy on my channel.
And I honestly read a lot of his policies too. I'm pretty policy wonky, but
yeah, me too. But
I know that
months.
That's
every day.
That's a nerd mentality, though. And I love the nerd mentality, but unfortunately, not every person has that, and most modern Democrats don't. So
yeah,
I need to play to the masses. Do
you have do you have people that are? Let me rephrase that. Do you have people that are helping you with your policy pages and like trying to come up with the verbiage and I guess you say the agenda outline for those?
I have my campaign manager and my fiance right now helping me with those. I do send out some ideas to like the Yang Gang Roundtable and to a few other people. But I do need to get a real policy committee together.
Yeah,
that's going to be like maybe the 4th or 5th committee I get together. I need to get sales and volunteer growth committees together first.
Yeah. Well, I know a couple of people that are like policy people, so they do that for their local campaigns. I know one lady's in New York, but she helped with Herzog's can't remember her name, Vogler or something like that. But yeah, there's people out there in the Yang Gang too that have already done it for their campaign. So and I think of the people.us is the best way to find them.
It is like
everyone out there.
Of the people.us is such a great effort. I'm so glad Tom is doing that, because we're only going to win by connecting and getting together and organizing and making it happen. It really is. We are really in such an uphill fight still. Yang really moved the needle, like unbelievably. And I think that we can really pass a basic income in 2022 or 2023, like realistically.
I want to see more Republicans sign up on there too, running on UBI for different economic conservative.
I would love to see that, but unfortunately, I think the Republicans dead named themselves, especially with that insurrection.
I think that with Trump trying to take over their RNC finances right now is going to make a huge rift, because he sent out a cease and desist order to their 3 biggest funders.
I read about that.
You will not use my name or likeness to do campaign fundraising. They will go through my PACs, and I will be the kingmaker. In other words, he wants all the control.
He really does, and
money.
And that
PACs, so he can pay anyone as much as he wants, including himself and his children, which he's already done with super PAC money to pay off his debts.
Yeah, $70,000 haircuts, tax deductible, right?
Boy, I'd like to meet that barber too.
I know.
I wouldn't say barber, that magician.
That is a magician thing. And that, coupled with the Democrats desperately wanting to protect the duopoly, they are simply going to absorb most moderate Republicans, and the Democratic Party is going to have a big empty tent that's going to be too full to keep us all together eventually. And I see an internal paradigm shift happening where we have more progressive Democrats and blue dog Democrats.
We already have moderate Republicans running for president right now. His name's Joe Biden. So let's be real. Centrist Democrats are moderate Republicans.
I completely agree. And I think that the moderate Republicans that are currently listed under the Republican Party are coming to realize that, especially with the insurrection. That was a political atrocity. People died for political reasons. There's no coming back from that for a party.
Can anyone spot the difference between Mitt Romney and Joe Biden? I mean, seriously, they really do.
R&D, that's it.
They do have very aligned beliefs and approaches to everything. I'd love to do a video like that, just line them up. But yeah, we've got a lot of work to do. If Biden hadn't gotten out that $1,400 checkout, I'd say the failure would have been just about mitigated, the Republican disadvantage caused by the capitalist rights, but he did. Yeah, well, don't worry. Joe Biden can still screw it up.
There's some jokes among a few congressional members that
climate change. Oh, well, they might have on that.
Yes, I'm in Biden.
That's true. Thank you, Patrick, for correcting that, because Biden has surprised me delightfully about his stances on the economy, or the economy when it comes to creating jobs and green energy. He shut down the pipeline.
Yes, he has done a couple of good things, and honestly, I think only Yang could have had the energy to get as much done as Biden has gotten done. Like, he has been working his ass off.
I'm pleasantly surprised. I mean, I can say I'm pleasantly surprised, because I had zero expectations.
He may be a neoliberal war hawk, but at least he's not actively sabotaging the system. And that is a true breath of fresh air.
Yeah, it's a start.
It's a start. It's a real good start.
So, yeah. But yeah, guys, so we've got, what's your social media? Because I know you had some problems on Twitter there.
Yes, I did. Because I get a little too aggressive with my political speech, and Twitter is going through a hard censorship phase right now. My original personal account, and you can go back on the Wayback Machine to find it, @JSaberGamer, is suspended. You cannot check out the tweets I made. I had like 15,000 tweets, I think, because they went through a few censoring phases on my account. Like, I at one point had like 30 some thousand tweets, and you know, one week I had 23, and then the next I had 15. So they were cutting me. They were cutting me for a good long while. But you know, if you tell political officials to stop breathing lies, they really, really get antsy about that.
Yeah,
they think it's a death threat.
Yeah. But yeah, so what are you on there now? I think it's like Lund 2020.
So my official campaign, and you can find all of our campaign announcements and quibs professionally on @Lund 2022. And if you want to follow me for my spicier personal takes, it's @Lund Sheridan.
Okay, yeah. So all these are on his page right here, guys.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. And then you have a Facebook group or a Facebook page?
Yep. I should have a Facebook page. There's not too much there right now. My campaign manager's dealing with that.
Yeah,
it's still a stock page. We do need to get a community manager to help us out. We are
that's
definitely in need.
Yeah, gotta get a team together, man. And
it's a remote position. You know, if you think you can do it, I will happily take you on wherever you are in the country, as long as you're American and helping us out.
If I wasn't juggling 75 things, I would help. But
no, I wouldn't even ask you, Boyce. You are too busy. Like,
there's so much more I want to do too, man. I'm just like,
no. Don't spread yourself thin. This is really important, especially in startups. Like, stay focused. Stay focused on what you provide.
Well, I'm a minimalist, so like, there's nothing hanging on my walls. I don't do tchotchkes and photo frames and art bullshit that really brings no real value. When I have a cell phone, you know, I can go look at art on my phone. Who gives a shit if it's hanging on my wall? I don't want to possess art. I appreciate the shit out of it, but I don't want to buy it.
Yeah.
I admire it from a distance. This is the only thing on my wall, guys. It's right there behind my light. It's my whiteboard with all the shit I got to get done. And if I can't zoom in, but Sheridan Lund on the 2nd. Oh, wait, that was last week.
Yeah, because I missed it. I'm so sorry, boys. Yeah, I'd just gotten home from going up in the mountains and spending some quality time with my fiance.
I was supposed to be talking to Sass today too.
Oh yeah,
I forgot. Why is it not? Anyway, I'll take care of him. We're done. Yeah, I'm supposed to touch base with him today about setting up an interview for him too. On a live stream.
I think even the Yang Gang Roundtable is going to have him on pretty soon. So
he's an interesting guy, man. I'm gonna check.
He's a cool guy. I don't think he's on Of the People yet. He needs to get on that.
We'll get that taken care of.
Absolutely.
But yeah, anything else you want to ask from any kind of other help that you need? Like, you need someone to help with your Facebook group, your Twitter page?
I need a community manager. I need a media manager who can help us with editing, who can put together good campaign trailers. And I need donations because we need to start reaching more people. We need to start playing the green game. There's so much that is out there, but they all their nonprofit style is you have to throw skin in the game just to talk to them. And once you get in, then you get their nice rate. So it's definitely a challenge, but it's a good one.
I think that an average campaign funding for the U.S. House of Representatives in 2018 was like somewhere in the fields of like $140,000 average. Now, if you're in L.A., New York, it's going to be a problem. It's going to be like $4 million.
Yeah, thankfully I am closer to the $200,000 range, but that is still a lot of money. That's an entire house. So
that's a house and a Tesla truck, baby.
That is, yeah, it really is. And if you're frugal, that's like a couple of tiny apartments, a tiny house, and a Tesla truck.
I could live for 4 years with that.
Yeah, right.
And it's like for 4 years.
Yeah.
And if I had that money up front, I could stretch it to 5 because I'd buy Bitcoin and let it accrue interest for me over a 5-year period and actually live off the dividends off of that alone.
And that's where I get at, like you were saying how it's a hard sell, but I really don't think it is, because there's so much to buy, and right now America is having a liquidity crisis. Like every time you want to buy something that seems like I got an air fryer. Do you have an air fryer, boys?
No, I have an Instapot.
Oh, wait. So an Instapot is one thing, but you need to get an air fryer. It will replace your stove. I want to just rip mine out and just get rid of it. I don't want to use the natural gas anymore.
Well, I'm a pizza guy, so I can't get it in there, you know?
Oh, that's true. That's honestly the only thing I use my oven for now is pizza.
Well, I do pizzas. I love cooking. I have a chef hat. My girlfriend made me. It says Chef Boyce RD, dude. Come on.
Ah.
I used to do like live streams cooking and shit like that, man. I love to cook, man.
Oh man, if Yang had won, right, where would our lives be?
I would be in. Well, I would have been in Washington D.C. on the 6th and the 20th.
Yeah, I would have too. I would have been there. I probably would be back in my cannabis lounge just chilling.
Yeah, no shit. With your toe on a hole, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Well, see, in Michigan, we are 100% recreational here. So we have that. I can't partake because I'm a healthcare worker. I can't.
That is rough, and that's only because of federal rules. And I'm so sorry. I will absolutely pass the MORE Act when I get to Congress.
Well, because that's the one thing I could ask of Biden. I feel like it'd be a successful. He's done great things for the environment. He's done the HR1 thing. If they can get in, which is not going to get through the Senate, they're gonna shit that.
I don't think so. I think that as long as Joe Manchin isn't a dick about black people, he can swallow his racism for a day.
Hold your breath.
I know, right?
There's Democrats. There's like 8 Democrats that said they're not for it.
8
in the Senate.
Really?
8.
Oh my God!
That said, no, I don't like all this overreach. Some people consider it federal overreach, where you can't have the federal government telling states how to run their state-ran elections. Which I understand that talking point, but the pushback for me is it's not about elections; it's about voting rights.
Yeah, it's about voting rights. HR1 doesn't even provide. Like, my local state government, New Mexico state government, is completely volunteer. Yeah, yes. Oh, man.
Trust me, if everything's legalized, I want to do like a DMT stream.
Yes, that would be fun.
I've never done any of those things. I want to try shrooms and DMT and stuff.
Shrooms is fun. I highly recommend shrooms. I do.
Again, because of my job, I gotta be careful.
And I look forward to changing that, because, like, especially the research we're getting on guided therapy with psychedelic mushrooms is unbelievable.
I think veterans, like Richard Ojeda made this point when I talked to him last time, is veterans should have every drug available to help them that isn't controlled by the war. Right. Like,
there's no genuinely good reason to tell a soldier, a veteran of a war, what they can and can't do. Like,
really, to get better. We send you to break you. We bring you back, and we don't partake in the fix. Too serious? Nothing is too serious to stream. Nothing is
nothing.
Guys, like, my mantra is I'm the Walmart Joe Rogan. You know,
I'm fairly certain there's still child porn on Twitter and YouTube. Like, there's nothing that's too strong or too intense to stream, apparently.
Well, no, I've gotten taken down for streams. Like, got a strike and not able to live stream for a week after that.
Wow.
They're very, very strict on the streams. They're actually the most is on the streams.
They got a hacking problem too. Like, they need to solve their moderation a lot. Because
I agree with Shale here. I mean, I'm just saying veterans as a simple, no nonsense one. It should be everyone, because we all survive trauma. Mm-hmm. Life is a series of traumas,
and that's that's actually a really good statement, because that's how I feel about like the bad faith argument against basic income, like that lazy poor person. There's no good argument against that, because even if they use the money for what you may consider a sin or a bad thing, it's what's best for them in their mind. And that's the point of capitalism, is free choice.
It's nobody's business.
Exactly. It's your
You want to go outside, punch yourself in the nuts, have at it, champ.
Exactly.
Don't punch my nuts.
Exactly.
That's it.
Exactly.
You do good and bad things to and for yourself. You just can't do bad things to and for other people. That's it. Your rights end when it starts to intervene on someone else's rights. That's it.
And what compounds that is our businesses that can access the legal system and can use the courts to assert their authority over people just because they have access to that capital.
Yep.
Like, we definitely need to level the playing field, and I really only see basic income as the way to do it.
But if Joe Biden, and I'm going to go back to something Shale said about starting a war, he hasn't yet. So I'm going to be the optimist here. I'm going to be the optimist.
I do think that Biden's going to be the diplomat who increases our military industrial complex, just like most.
No, I think the opposite.
Really?
He actually is going to think about what he's doing. If he hands over the reins to Iran and we bring people home, that's a fucking huge win. Huge win. It's fiscally responsible. It's humanism. Bring our people home. Stop killing people you don't know why you're killing them. Stop bombing them. Stop hitting them with drones. You know, all this sanction shit. We have 500,000 homeless people here. For every person that died in COVID, there's a person that's homeless as well. So think about those numbers, people.
There's still millions who got evicted during this pandemic, and most of them have been shuffled into the homeless population.
Illegally.
Illegally, indeed. Illegally. And it's just because they couldn't afford a lawyer who could properly say, there's precedent for why you're illegal here.
Right. Yeah, I'm big on that too, where I just talked to a disability advocate in New York City about there should be a free or a publicly funded legal representation for everyone that needs it.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think that we do need to expand our, I believe it's 14th Amendment right to a lawyer from beyond criminal activities to all civil lawsuits. Everyone should be represented, and no matter how poor you are, you deserve proper representation. Like, our entire democracy is based on equal and proper informed representation.
Well, and to me, it's not about what's right or wrong. It's about what's constitutionally, legally protected. It is your right to have legal representation in my eyes. It is your constitutional right to have a speedy trial and not keep people in jail for 4 goddamn years awaiting trial. That is not a speedy trial, man. Get real.
Yeah.
Speedy? I don't like the language. Give me a number. Give me a length. What is speedy?
And it's not because there aren't brilliant people out there who want to be lawyers. It's because we aren't funding our departments. We need to actually get, like, especially to do a small sidetrack into immigration. This is the same crisis at the border.
Yep.
Like, we have too many unrepresented people trying to jam their way through too few immigration courts to get what is rightfully theirs. It's just a bottleneck problem. And it's a bottleneck problem the government can straight solve just by hiring more judges, hiring more courts, hiring more clerks.
Yep.
I mean, it's not a hard thing to do. And if they really are all about jobs, which I think is misguided, then they could at least provide government jobs.
Well, and that's what I think is Biden's going to be vulnerable for re-election if he runs. Is the catch and release talking point they have of they just catch and release. They can go over the country and rape and pillage because they're all drug dealers and rapists and pedophiles and gangsters. And, they send the worst people, blah, 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 bullshit talking points. But he's handing them a big, fat, juicy steak to chew on for the next 2 years to take into the midterms and say, we told you. He did exactly what we warned you was he's going to open the flood. They're flooding the border. It's the same number of people coming. There's always thousands coming at once. It's because of weather, guys.
Yeah.
There's going to be another one this spring. There's going to be like 5,000 people going to walk from fucking Honduras to Baja California or El Paso, Texas.
And, everything is really interconnected because the reason we're getting so many migrants is because of climate change. They are climate refugees.
Well, and our policy, but our foreign policy is the most direct advocate for them running the hell out of their country because we destroyed it by getting into their politics.
Yeah, definitely Venezuela, Colombia, all those, but along the equator, like it's drying out, like it's getting too hot to work. Like they can't properly grow food. It's not just political destabilization from America and from their governments. Like that doesn't help, but that's not the only reason. The main reason is not enough people are willing to stick around and fix the shit down there because they don't think it's worth fixing. They see the climate disaster on their literal doorsteps.
Yeah, the juice isn't worth the squeeze.
Exactly.
Let's not forget, guys, with rising temperatures and rising sea levels, all of the Caribbean islands, they're all coming here, guys. They have nowhere to go. We have room.
Yeah, we have tons of room, and we should welcome them in open arms, get them into college.
You want to hear a funny statistic? Not statistic, but a visual. You could take every person on planet Earth and they could stand up shoulder to shoulder and fit in Texas. Every single person on the planet can fit in Texas.
Yep, I believe it. I saw
stand there.
I saw another graphic that was just a blue cube on the island of Manhattan next to the Empire State Building, and it was like I think 4 times as tall as that, and it was this cube can contain everyone. This cube can contain everyone on planet Earth. And it's like, dang, that's why I say we really need more people. Like we can absolutely handle more people. We just need to get more efficient and actually recycle our waste properly.
Well, that's another thing where the recycling program is failing.
Yeah. It's not really a recycling program. It's landfill 2.0.
Yeah, it's just collecting shit in one place.
Like we need to be following our European allies in their incredible ways. Like I think
Norway recycled rubber and plastic.
Norway is like purchasing tons and tons of garbage because they don't have enough garbage for their recycling programs.
Yeah, they need more infrastructure supplies because they have the demand. Like I said, they make their I think it's their schools use recycled materials for their construction. The track, their fields, everything is recycled. Like they really do. The Northern Europeans are, like you said, Norway, Sweden, Switzerland. They've really got, not Switzerland. What's the other one?
No, Norway, I think
Sweden,
Finland.
There you go. I've been there, man. I just can't remember all of them. I was at Norway and Denmark, Norway and Sweden and Finland. I can't remember the place. It was like Christiansand or some shit. But yeah, you want to talk about some clean cities? Holy shit, clean. And one of them still has a damn trolley car system in their capital, which is pretty cool.
That's what prosperity is, like
cool.
America really is super grungy and ratchety. Like
We're falling behind, man.
We are slipping in what governments are supposed to do is provide higher qualities of life to its citizens. And we had a grand opportunity, and it was a reasonable opportunity. It even still exists in the Senate. Our vice president put a bill forward to get everyone $2,000 a month for the duration of the pandemic for a year after, or for the time until our unemployment returns to 3%, and retroactive to March.
Mm-hmm.
So that was a good deal, and our leadership should have taken it. When I get into DC, you're getting it to birth. You're getting $2,000 a month to birth.
Well, and that's the thing, man. Like, I looked at the numbers for other countries that survived this, and they're flourishing. Australia, I talked to a guy in Australia and a lady, two people in Australia. They got $7,000 a month because their cost of living is higher. $7,000 a month.
Yeah, and the reason that this all can happen, and that same value did happen in America, is because the IMF is basically tracking everyone's debt and understands that there's going to be a massive debt spike. So it's not degrading anyone's debt and making interest any more difficult for anyone.
Well, here's the thing. They did it right for a short amount of period of time. Now they're good. We're spending more money over a longer period of time. We just going to allow more deaths.
And what's really sad is we're still spending about the same amount of money as we would have with these other plans, but it's going to the very top. Like most economies have been experiencing a two-speed economy, or a K-shaped economy, where you have the services and online sectors doing great. Like all the stimulus is pumping up through them and working. And then the real durable economy has just crashed because people can't go out, can't do things. But in America, it's actually much worse. We're having a 3-speed economy where we have the normal K like most countries are, but we have the billionaire class, the top 0.001% just take off.
Exponential growth.
Not exponential, cubic, like truly unbelievable growth.
Straight
line up.
Matter of fact, I heard a statistic about Bezos. The money he's made just since the pandemic, he could give every single human being in America $27,000 cash just off of what he's made, more than just in like since last year. And this was in like they're
probably talking about Amazon revenues, but yes, his company has taken in trillions of dollars in this last year. Like, it is unbelievable the amount of money that is getting focused so hard on so few.
I have a very serious question for Mr. Lund. Go ahead. Don't let it be stupid. Don't say some dumb shit. Just so you know. If it's a good question, I'll bring it up. If it's a stupid ass question, troll, this is Twitch, for crying out loud, you guys. So I got to be careful. I get a lot of dumb asses.
Hey, there's a lot of bored people on Twitch, and when you throw something out there.
Yeah, so Dark Savage or Dark Sage 917 91 whatever the fuck you are. Put your comment here and your question, and I'll bring it up. But we are gonna wrap this up within 10 minutes. I gotta get some dinner.
Oh yeah, I don't mean to keep you. I've really enjoyed the conversation.
No, I always go for, like I told you, a minimum of 1 hour.
Yeah.
Minimum. I'm gonna really double down on my new catchphrase is the Walmart Joe Rogan, man. I'm just gonna go with it, man. Fuck it.
Hey, everyone has to take a moniker that properly fits them, and I would love to see you become as good as Joe Rogan.
Oh man. This is a good point too, Elizabeth. Yes, stealing the Amazon drivers' tips, man. That motherfucker. Yeah, dude. Oh my God. I forgot about that, Elizabeth. Thank you.
And that's
millions of dollars to pay their wages.
Yeah, that's one of those things that I really can't blame the company. Like, it is super disgusting. I cannot blame the company itself for doing that. That is a legal loophole that should not exist. The fact that companies can take wages or take tips and then use those tips as payroll for wages. It's absurd to me.
Okay, it's true. It shouldn't exist.
Yes. Yeah.
But to do it, you are a fucking slimy piece of shit.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah. $62 million of thievery. Legal thievery, but thievery nonetheless.
I will put it into perspective with Amazon being Amazon. That is less than a fraction of a single % of what they made, last year. So
62 million is probably like a tenth of a percent for them, literally. Like,
yeah, I
for a month,
probably about 1,000%.
Yes.
So it's slimy, yes, but it's not Amazon's fault. They are trying to get growth and gains at all costs, and that means playing the legal edge that is available. And sadly, the state there.
Whoa. Okay, here's a big one. Disturbed by the constant comparisons of world events like the migrant crisis, COVID, the economic downturn, to Nazi Germany and the Holocaust. Okay, elect leaders and candidates running for office have frequently made this comparison. Do you believe these comparisons are valid? Yeah, there he is. If so, why? And if not, what do you want to say to candidates who continue to run with this comparison? Wait, so you're saying that, wait a minute. You're saying that people compare migrant crisis, COVID, and an economic downturn to Nazi Germany and the Holocaust.
So that's a few different things, and I do disparage it as well. It's, I would like to say, a lack of imagination and historical creativity, because we've had a lot happen that's a lot more like what's happening now, like the Dust Bowl, the Great Depression. Those are a lot more notable than World War II.
Well, and just to say, the Holocaust is an actual genocide. That's easily dismissed in any comparison. Germany.
I can understand why some are bringing it up, because, like I was mentioning, it's nice that Joe Biden isn't actively sabotaging us like Trump was, and he definitely needs to face his war crimes for what he did, because 500,000 people dead is a genocide. There's no other description than a generation of people losing their lives.
I think it's a false equivalency with the Holocaust.
I agree, because the Holocaust was so horrific.
It's active murder. There's a slight difference.
I do agree.
But I will say that the comparison to Nazi Germany is warranted. There are some good rational correlations, some equivalencies there.
There are some, but I think it's more in the fall of Nazi Germany that we should take heed from, like when Germany actually made Nazi symbols and Nazi imagery straight illegal, and just have crimes against that. I feel we should have similar crimes against white supremacy and Jim Crow actions or laws. Like, we should have the federal government actually punish officials that push these, because they are so damaging.
Well, we just had a guy, who was that? I just saw an article about
I know, that's why I bring it up, because we do have leaders.
Nationalist America First rally is called, by it's a PAC, America First. And it's a white nationalist PAC. And one of our elected officials taking our tax money and is speaking at their event like a headliner, if you will. Like, he's the David Duke of today.
And that's what we need to watch out for, because we are going to see a lot more violence and a lot more aggression from these rallies that are focused on fascist nationalism. because fascism is violence under one abstract concept. To go on killing millions of Jews just because you think they're bad is fascistic. And the same thing is happening now. People are getting killed because of some abstract concept in a bunch of people's heads that don't mean anything.
Asian American violence has went up by 1,100%.
Mm-hmm. And it's completely unwarranted.
100%. It's not like they're getting into fights. They're being assaulted, stabbed, and murdered.
Yeah.
Like, it's okay. Like, if I got into a fight with someone, that's violence, right? We're both violent. But there's people just standing there, locking their door. I saw a young lady locking her door. Dude walks up and just says, and socked her.
Yeah.
No goddamn reason, man. You want to talk about pissing someone like me off?
Indeed. It boils my blood that people can just be so blindly cruel.
Just
like
gross.
At least a lot of our imperialistic military action has real political meaning behind it. But just being a dude assaulting another dude for no reason other than you think that, yeah.
It's mostly elderly. That's what bullies do, guys. They're punks.
They punk on the sick and elderly, and it's disgusting. It's beneath contempt. It's
predatory. It's animalistic. It's not humanistic. It's the opposite of humanity. It's opposite of humanism. Like
exactly.
Animals of prey do that. Lions don't go after the wildebeest; they go after the young.
It is savage.
Weak. It is natural in nature, but not to humans.
No,
we have
respect, ethics, and we actually care for one another.
Yeah. Well, you won't see that kind of mimetic antisocial behavior when everyone has enough money to invest.
Exactly.
Man, you got that right. Imagine, I'm really just so interested in the future with the UBI to say, okay, after 2 years, what's our drug overdose rate? What's our suicide rates? What's our homicide rates?
And
our homelessness rates? What's our domestic violence rates? Divorce rates?
I was even talking about this because you bring up a really good point in that description. Like not just the rates going down and our lives getting better, but the 2 years later. Because I think it is going to take about 2 years of adjustment. Ideally, if my plan passes, people will see a massive explosion in the stock market and in assets and have tons of fun rides with that. But after about 2 years, the dust is going to settle and people will have the financial security that they should have. They will have the community and skills that they should have. They will have made the mistakes that they needed to have. Because I'm not some hyper idealist who's like, everyone's going to spend their money wisely. I know that someone's going to go out and buy a yacht in New Mexico in this desert. And it's going to be great, but maybe not well thought out.
It's a nice boat, dude.
It's a nice boat, dude.
Where's the water?
Exactly. So I think that we do need to be patient when we get this rolling out, because there probably is going to be a lot of sensationalization from our news media about what people are purchasing, and we shouldn't read into that too much. We should just realize it as the media sensationalizing.
Yeah. It's information. It's something to talk about.
Exactly, and
it's a load of cigarettes with their stimulus check.
I know, right?
That's like Dave Chappelle, in reparations or some shit. I'm rich, bitch. Honk, honk.
Did you? Oh man, when I first saw that, I saw that like a few months ago, and I was so shocked by his political trailer in that show. Like, how did he not win the next whatever election just by write-in that way? Like, I would have voted him as a joke.
Insurance. Fuck him. Yeah, I'm a big fan of Dave Chappelle. I think
he's so good.
a great leader, a thought leader. I think stand-up comedians are thought leaders. They
Well,
just
what's
make laugh.
funny is they've become our moral philosophers because no one pays enough for liberal arts degrees, and we allow presidents to behave worse.
Well, because they're lawyers. Typically. Like, let's think about Congress is like 60-70% lawyers.
It is. And I no, it's 90% lawyers. There's only like a couple of trades and scientists in the bunch. It's all lawyers. And you want to know what's funny is I'm fairly certain it's a cultural reason, because even my own mom was like, why don't you like spend some time to go to law school instead of just running for Congress? And I'm like, because I don't have time. Like, if you had done everything right in the 70s and we had gotten like the Family Assistance Act passed and we had actually gotten civil rights, settled and moderated our police power and got a public option available in the 70s, yeah, I would be fine and just doing my life, like having a lounge and chilling. But
if the New Deal would have included a UBI.
Oh, if we would have just listened to Martin Luther King and not killed him as a government.
Yes.
Like, if we had just done that alone, we would be in a different position.
But I'm thinking financially, we had the most potential to grow. That's when we had the most resources in the world. We really did have a monopoly on money, on liquid assets. We had the biggest monopoly on planet fucking Earth ever. In like a ratio, we had the most shit.
Yeah, we did. And we have really squandered it in our welfare state. In a blind attempt to save money, we have burnt ourselves a massive hole. And that's why I don't think my policy to get everyone their cash to their birth is too much. Because we've burned trillions on this failed welfare experiment. Mm-hmm. It's a failure.
I think it's going to be hard to sell retroactive on any policy, not specifically in that one. Any policy retroactive, people are like, wait a goddamn minute. That's what I mean by it's just going to be hard. It's just going to be hard as a talking point.
It's going to be harder to sell, but at the end of the day, it's, do you want all that cash coming to you or not? I mean,
yeah, for sure. Everybody wants that money. But it's just a matter of getting it. I'm a millionaire, but I just haven't found the money yet. Like, okay. So we can't speak it into existence. We actually get policies behind it.
Well, what's funny about that is that's the exact system-wide poverty I speak to, because everyone, like, even the most conservative economists expected everyone to have essentially a trust fund of some sort based on whatever familial structuring that would provide about $1/3 a year to every person. Every person.
From when?
It was I think it was in the 70s as well. It was a few different studies on like the Family Assistance Act and how getting more cash into our economy would help grow.
I think what you're talking about. They also thought we'd be working 32 hours a week by now.
Well, technically, most of us do. It's just we aren't getting compensated properly because there isn't enough cash out in our system. Like,
I'm saying, they thought that automation with the computers alone and the factory jobs being automated away with the robotics and stuff like that, and pneumatic tools and the circuit breakers and the electric motherboards. They thought the computerized. You guys, the computer's going to do all the work for us, and we're going to be easy, working 28 to 32 hours a week and still manage just fine. What are we going to do all our free time? We're going to pursue our passions. I saw a funny video about that in the 70s.
I'm actually part of a Discord community called the Capitalists, and it's a bunch of different economic YouTube channels put together. Mm-hmm. And there was a econometrics student who was talking in our voice channel about his thesis proposal. And he's actually looking at the correlation between productivity and leisure time, and how en masse, as our productivity has moderately increased like 2 to 3%, our leisure time has increased multiples of that, like 10 to 20% of that. We used to work like 80, 90 hours a week only like 100 years ago. So we really are dropping off on that as our automation is kicking up. So they're not entirely wrong, but they're not entirely right either.
Well, the problem is they're thinking, because back then you worked 80 hours a week because you're farming or some shit. You had a farm and a factory job or whatever, right? I know plenty of people like that are my patients now that I had a farm and I built my own house and I built it one brick at a time.
Yeah, and it was $4,000 to build that entire house.
Right. But the thing is when they worked those hours, their money went farther.
Mm-hmm.
And now you work all those hours, that same money doesn't go as far because you're
a great way to imagine it.
At the top from your hours work, they're keeping more of your income you've produced for them.
I completely understand the argument about wealth transference and the income inequality, but I think it's more immediately felt in there's this chart about minimum wage, and it's a chart with the minimum wage increases in real dollars and then the inflation value of those dollars across. And you could see it like ticking across and having a lot of volatility because of our inflation. Peaking back in the 60s when our minimum wage was like $4 an hour, it was as valuable as $12 an hour today. So your dollar went hell a lot further than it does today.
I don't think it was 4. I think it's more like 2 back in the
60s.
60s for sure. Because I was a kid, it was only like 4 something when I was a kid, dude.
I think you might be right. But then in that case, it's even worse. It's 6 times as far.
Right. So that 2 something.
So our economy worked better back in the 60s with the minimum wage and everything going on. And our government has just been too slow to properly adapt to our new way of life. And this crisis, people keep talking about both going back to the new normal and that there's no new normal to go back to in nearly the same breath, because it's kind of how it's been for decades. Like, we've been in a broken state for over 3 decades.
Oh, yeah. Well,
and everyone's felt it. Everyone knows why it's broken too. We don't have cash to spend on the things we like.
Yeah, I think it's Reaganomics, man, where this trickle down thing just is a failed experiment economically. It just doesn't trickle.
It really is, because when you look at the system of power, exactly, yes, and there's that productivity and power slicing as well.
30 to 300.
Yeah, that's
damn.
Yeah, and 30 times is still a lot of money. Oh my gosh, that is so much more.
Like, you can work at Aldi's here locally where I live at. There's an Aldi's here. It starts you out at $11.85 an hour, almost $12 an hour. That means the CEO of Aldi's is making $360 an hour on average.
And that's actually probably lowballing it.
That's very much so lowballing it. Yeah,
because the salary differences from hourly wage workers to technical salaried workers to even business owners is ridiculously different. It's unbelievably different.
I'm gonna do the math on that. Oh, wait a minute. So $36 an hour times $40 weeks. $40. Wait, what the fuck? Hold on. $36 an hour times 40 hours a week times 52. Oops, shit.
Well, while you're doing that,
no, that's grossly.
That's
only $75,000 a year.
Exactly. And that's kind of why I'm against minimum wage laws. Like, I'm against the fight for 15. It's a waste of our time and our political energy. Wait a minute. It's too little, too late, and it doesn't cover enough people, even though I know I can see it in my communities that the new standard normal job, the safe job to go get, is a part-time gig work with Uber, Family Dollar, or Walmart.
Yeah.
Like, that's it.
Gas station attendant.
Exactly. Like, and these are, I am so against the minimum wage because it gives companies an out. It allows big business managers to look at a region, say, this minimum wage is whatever. We'll just make whatever jobs we're putting here entry level, slap minimum wage on it, and call it a day.
But I'll push back on that and say we're already paying for that with the welfare system. They're outsourcing their failures.
Exactly.
They're keeping the money. I think a $15 minimum wage would force them to get the people off of welfare pretty much and make them pay them a livable wage.
Well, again, with my plan, they would already be basically making welfare redundant.
That's what I'm saying. But they'd have to have a minimum wage of $15 an hour, though.
I don't believe so. I believe that by having no minimum wage, you give more power to workers to set what their value is for themselves, and they can turn it down or take a.
Mississippi doesn't even have a minimum wage in the state.
What's that?
Mississippi don't even have a minimum wage. They would rather pay you to be a fucking slave if they could. They would. You know what I'm saying? So we can't. We have to put minimals on these things because there are fucking disgusting leaders that would use you, abuse you, and break your foot off on your ass and ask you to smile.
And I can totally understand that perspective, but it's really a question of our political energy and how we focus our efforts. Because if we want to do the fight for 15, it's going to take time and energy away from getting basic income pushed.
Oh, absolutely.
I think $2,000 a month is more valuable than fighting for 15.
Well, I think $15 an hour is pointless if they automate those jobs away. Just the same reason I don't like federal jobs guarantee. I'm going to guarantee you a job, and then it's all automated away. Now what's our policy? I think federal jobs guarantee would have made sense back in the 60s.
We had all these incrementalist, moderate programs would have been great 3 decades ago when we needed them. But guess what? It's too little too late, and we don't have enough time now. We have so many crises just staring down our barrel.
Yeah. I think Joe Biden's biggest hurdle is the infrastructure, which I don't think he's going to do.
Yeah, I don't think he is either. I think he's going to be really capped out on trying to get, I think, like you said, green energy. And
one alone is going to take a lot of political capital.
Yeah.
It really is to be made to get that through. But I think that is the most important package he could put through. The economy or the environmental restrictions back in place, man. And I think he should demand New York undo their bullshit that asshole Cuomo did to protect the nursing homes from liability. That is fucking bullshit.
What's really bullshit is that still we have Republican leaders talking about providing that liability to all businesses.
All businesses, yes.
And guys, we already provide a lot of limited liability to companies. Like, if they kill people, they should see justice. Like, there was, I think even John Oliver caught wind of in his meatpacking thing about a meatpacking company and their managers placing bets and having an actual gambling pool on who was going to get sick and die.
Yeah, they sold squares, dude.
Yeah.
Like squares. Like it's football games.
Yeah. Like, guys, this isn't fucking your fantasy league. These are people who are under your care.
Making 300 times your salary.
Yeah. And
you are no more than a chicken in a cockfight to them.
Mm-hmm.
Shit like that makes me say, fuck them. Retroactive $2,000. I don't give a shit. Fuck them.
Right? That's what I'm talking about. We've had too long. We should just get people their value for their lives. and let them decide for themselves.
Governor Cuomo should be brought up on civil liability charges in court and criminal court. Human endangerment by policy. What do you want to call it? Corruption. And what do you call that? When gangsters lean on you, man. Coercion through policy to take back 9,000 positive patients, 9,000 vectors, active vectors, make them go back to a nursing home, and then protect the company who's profiting off of their pain.
Yep.
Fuck that shit. Cuomo needs to go to fucking jail.
And that is where legislation is not enough, where the judicial system is not enough.
No,
we need the American scorecard to properly, dynamically punish these corporations that lean so hard into greed that they end up killing people.
Cuomo wrote a book about how to handle a pandemic, guys. Don't forget. That motherfucker profited saying this is how you handle a pandemic as the governor. Meanwhile, he's lying. 50% of his numbers were bullshit. He lied about the deaths too. 9,000 people, man. Out of the whole, he stuck them all in nursing homes, and then an epidemic happened, and they lied about those numbers too. This dude is as corrupt as Trump. He's as evil, and I'm an atheist, so I don't even use that word that much. But this is, if there is evil, this motherfucker is evil.
Yes.
He's just as evil as Trump. He's just as wrong as Trump. He's just as palpable and capable and liable. That motherfucker murdered people for political expediency. I hate that motherfucker's guts.
I am so excited for Yang to replace him. He is going to landslide this. And I actually, you saw that Emerson poll, right?
Yes, 32%. Yes, sir.
And
that's a third.
I sent that to my mom and dad, and told as a little bit of an "I told you so," because in 2019 I texted both of them. This time next year, Yang will be in the lead by 40%.
Close.
Plus 40% in the polls.
Mm-hmm.
And with that Emerson poll, which is just polling Democrats. Yeah. And he had an easier time with Republicans. It's safe to assume he would get 35% on Republicans now. Yeah. Yeah. So that's 70% over Trump's 30% approval rating. And just grand slamming him in the campaign, with the pandemic happening, he would have easily cleared 70% on election day. Easily.
Did you see his press conference today, or his outside conference, or his challenge to Cuomo?
I have not.
He says, I want New York City's leadership, including Cuomo, for money, and then Blasio for the policy to make the week of Memorial Day week 100% free transit systems. The city's open. We want your business. We're open for business. It's free for the entire week. That dude's got stones. He's not even in.
He does, because that's specific, actionable, and you can lean on those people to make it happen. That is how you get people getting protests around those people's houses.
That's proper leadership. That is proper leadership. He's done more with so few resources.
And honestly, I like Zach, but I really think Yang needs to cut him from the team. I
don't think you got to cut him from the team. He's got to find some other inputs than just one person.
Oh, I think he does need a new campaign manager. And Zach was great for the early team.
I think Zach knows that too. I think
I think so too.
He was the low-hanging fruit. And he's like, yeah, I'll do it, dude. He knew him. They had a relationship. Yeah, dude, let's do this shit. That's like you saying, hey, boys, we have a campaign manager. Yeah, fuck it. Let's rock this shit. I'm going to quit my job and blah, blah, blah. Let's do this shit, That doesn't be the best qualified campaign manager for you. Considering
especially Yang is at a national level. He can really get whoever he wants on his team.
Well, now he can.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Then.
He should have a shuffle.
Well, I think one of Andrew's greatest weaknesses right now, this is just my personal perspective, is his loyalty.
Yeah, I can see that. I can see that.
He's not a cutthroat politician. He's a loyal person, man. And I think it's a curse and a blessing.
I can admire it, but I've learned too young in life that you have to be able to cut your losses when there's still something to gain, and that includes trust and relationships that you need to. Yeah, I think he will find someone other than Zach.
Also, now that he knows what he's doing, he don't have to trust a campaign manager. I know what's going on. I don't need you to be my friend. Do your fucking job.
Mm-hmm.
I got plenty of friends, bro.
Yeah, and sometimes it does come down to that. Like we need the traction. We need the things to get done. Hanging out's cool and all, but
Yeah. Nice coat, bro. But
yeah, right.
Okay, guys. I do gotta get off in a minute, but I want to give you guys a little inside peek for the ones that have stuck around for 2 hours and 14 minutes. You guys are
15
awesome.
minutes.
I gotta give you a little sneak peek. I'm in discussions with Nina Turner's campaign manager.
Woo!
Fingers crossed. DM her. No, I'm just joking.
I
have an email going back and forth with her campaign manager, and she's watching some videos like this to see if this is what this fits their narrative, if it benefits their campaign. So
yeah,
I'm pitching it is we're the next TYTs, we're the next Hill, so that's how I'm kind of pitch it. And I want her to be our 4th U.S. congressional candidate we interview on the Trickle Up. So, and I'm telling you what,
she's going to be a wealth of knowledge for you. Like she's such a great person.
She's so. I really wish I could have done it ahead of time a little better and done it on International Women's Day.
Yep.
I'm sure she has. She's probably on 5 interviews that day already. I'm not big enough for that, but in a perfect world, that'd have been cool. But
I understand what it's like when you get something like that. Like I'm still getting in on my local politics, doing the grassroots, and making sure that I follow the party line, because I want to be a good Democrat and make sure that I appeal enough to the party to change the party.
Yeah.
So I'm in connection with Antoinette's campaign to get her on to a town hall on the Yang Gang Roundtable. So
nice.
I definitely understand what it's like to be in that in between limbo, letting them look at your previous stuff, seeing if it's good, and just hoping.
Well, she's got such recognition that she doesn't need to come on here.
Mm-hmm.
She's only doing me a favor. Like, really, let's be real.
Yeah.
She can go on. What's that one asshole's name? Oh man, he sucks. Vash.
Oh yeah.
Vash.
Yeah.
Go on his channel and get 1 million views. Literally 1 million views.
I don't get it, because it's like he's not that great to watch,
The things I like some of his principles, just like I like most of Bernie's, but the federal jobs guarantee is garbage, and the minimum wage is a tough sell. And a single payer is a tough sell too. But Vosh, man, I watch some of his stuff and I like some of his clips, but then I have some other shit and he's like justifying pedophilia.
Wow. That's
like literally 3 different videos. I'm like, this.
I haven't seen that, but like I can definitely see why I really didn't like that guy.
Yeah.
Like
I like takes. He's a humanist, like he wants to help people, blah blah. But he's more communist than humanist.
I can now. I'm pretty liberal in my own viewpoint on crime and the state's authority to have police power, but even I know pedophiles and murderers need to be imprisoned and policed and properly taken care of. We can't just regulate something like that.
No,
it's not like the drug trade where there's clear incentives.
No. But yeah, so she could go on someone like him, even though he's disgusting, and get 1 million eyes on her. Literally 1 million. But if she comes on here, guys, you're gonna see one tickled pink motherfucker.
I bet.
And it's probably only gonna be 30 minutes, but it's gonna be the most efficient 30 minutes you've ever fucking seen. I'll probably have to send her some questions and shit. You know how it is, those big ones. And she don't know me. She don't know me. So I understand that they're going to be skeptical, but All she gotta do is watch me go on a rant. She'll be like, all right, I like this motherfucker, and let's go.
Yeah, I think she'll absolutely come on your campaign, because she's one of those people that even though she could get 1 million views on Vosh, she wouldn't, because they wouldn't be a good 1 million views. Like she's looking for more than just exposure now that she's at such a national level. You know, she's
grassroots, man.
Exactly. So I think that she'll absolutely get back to you, and because your show is so good, it's so good.
Well, if I get Nina Turner, it's not gonna be just me.
Mm-hmm.
I will not do it alone. I will bring others with me that I think should be in that conversation, women specifically.
Absolutely. Yeah, I definitely shouldn't. My white ass doesn't need it.
My white ass is the only one trying right now to do it. But I would like to get other females in that conversation, have like 4 people in it of some sort. Or maybe if I did just do one, but I'd want to set up another one though with more women that are running. Like I'd love to have it with her, Erica, and Reverend Wendy.
There's also
that would be dynamite.
There's I have a few different ones that aren't on the Of the People yet, like Angelica in California, and
yes, I saw that on your website.
Yeah, and I think there's really not that many women running on basic income, and it's kind of not yet. Yeah, not yet.
There's people like me that's going to run on it, but I can't until December, you know, so it's early. It's early, man.
And that's both a blessing and a curse depending on where you are and what your local area looks like.
Well, think about this. Most people will have more than one candidate to choose from that might run on UBI in the future. Like Kentucky did, like Kentucky did this year.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah, there were 2 that were trying. And what's really sad, neither of them won.
No.
And it's not because they split the vote. It's because the party didn't help.
The corporate money did not flow in their direction.
Yeah.
I think Breuer had the best chance to beat McConnell, but I think Booker had the best chance to win the nomination.
Yep. I think that's a very fair split. Like, I think that Breuer would have been such a good
if he could have got that head start Amy McGrath got, Dunzo. If he had got a 2-year head start with $30 million donated from the DNC and corporate sponsors on that bullshit, he would have been on CNN, the Young Turks. Everyone would have talked to Mike Breuer, take down the fucking turtle boy, Moscow Mitch.
Yeah, and it really would have been so easy for Breuer to take him down, because he appealed so hard to Republicans because he was a rancher, you know.
Well, just every day he's a farmer, an asparagus farmer.
Oh, sorry, yeah, an asparagus farmer.
So he's an asparagus farmer. He was a teacher, and he's a 20-something-year military veteran, and so was his wife. They're both Marines.
So like he would have stomped Mitch McConnell, because have you seen what his commercials are?
Who's McConnell's?
Yeah. Have you seen Have you seen a McConnell commercial?
No.
It's literally just happy, hopeful music played on top of stock footage of him shaking people's hands and smiling at people. That's it. That is his entire campaign trailer, and he wins year after year.
Well, that's the establishment for you,
right? Like,
it really is.
It sometimes doesn't feel like it's the content, it's how much you can get that message out.
I really want to talk to Mike Breuer now and ask him if he has plans, because me and my girlfriend drove to Kentucky for his primary.
Nice.
Yeah, we drove down there and we stayed for 3 days. Checked out the whiskey and the bourbon and the beer and the pizzas and beers and stuff. But yeah, we got to go meet him and his whole team, man. Great people. We was there on election day too. I took a lot of photos. I got interviewed by a local newspaper or radio station there too for being an out-of-state supporter. Like, what are you doing here from Michigan? What's someone from Michigan doing here? And so they said, hey, they said, no, Boyce is from Michigan. He does YouTube. He drove here just for this today. And they're like, whoa, let's talk to him, I have no idea what happened, if they did anything with it. I have no clue. But
That's
still,
how it goes now.
it's an interesting thing, though, that happened, so yeah. So I'm inspired to do it again. I'll tell you that. I'm going to New York in January or June. I got a week off of work already, minimum, at least a week. I'm hoping for 2.
Yeah, I honestly, that's why I'm so grateful to be in the position I'm in, because local politics is heating up and there's a special election going on that coincides to end at the same time as Yang's mayoral campaign.
Right.
And I don't want to razz on Yang, but he's really sucking the air on the Yang gang.
Hell yeah, man.
Basic income political donations. Like, he is taking a major share of what's out there.
For sure. Yeah, he's got the name recognition, He
does, and he's going for a position that a lot of people want to see him in. They want to see New York try a basic income, but
New York is the 5th largest economy or 7th largest economy in the world.
But the sad thing is Yang doesn't have a basic income on his mayoral platform.
No, he has an Alaskan type of oil once a year.
A yearly dividend on the city platform.
Yep.
And it's actually getting a lot of critique because it's not like a major dividend. It's less than the Alaskan dividend. It's like 2,000 something.
It's 2,000 to 5,000. The Alaskan one is only
it's 3,000 to 4,000 per person. That's what the Alaskan is.
Yes, average.
Mm-hmm.
But it goes down too. So but his is saying between 2 and 5, which is probably going to be 3.
It's not going down this year. Have you seen the oil prices? They exploded.
But I think if he takes over he wants to take over the CTA again, or the MTA. I think it's over the MTA, the Metro Transit.
Oh yeah.
Lines. He'll generate income off that motherfucker like nobody's business.
For real, yeah. He'll easily cover what he wants. I think he's definitely becoming more incrementalist now that he's been in the party. So,
and he says the city's budget will pay for $1 billion. That goes to 500,000 people for, let's say, $2,000 is an average number for that. $1 billion. Now, he could easily take more money from the city's budget for police lawsuits, and all that shit going on. There's billions of dollars being spent on the police that is wasteful. He's like, if we can because that's a start. Next year, let's look for another $1 billion. Sorry, cops. Bam. If we put more money in people's hands, less crime, less need for cops. Let's jump it. Boom. He can keep building it up, and he'll have access to the richest people in the fucking world at his fingertips. And be like, hey, Dorsey.
And honestly, that's how you get big programs like this across the line. The money is out there. Like the military-industrial complex is a massive weight on our budget. The government subsidies that we provide to a bunch of unproductive sectors is a massive weight on our budget. We can just get rid of those and still tax all the new technology that we have.
I don't think people understand how much we spend on military bases.
Oh my God, so much, like almost $1 trillion a year.
Military bases are very, very expensive. Other countries do help. Some countries help pay for that, like they do, but we still got a number we got to fuck with that is negotiable. Bringing people home, shutting down our global presence.
Mm-hmm.
Do we need to be in Germany and France? Isn't the war over there?
Yeah,
what are we doing there?
I'm all for scaling back our global presence because we really don't need to be in every single country.
No. I think we'd be advantageous and economically viable to have like one mega base in Europe. Because the jets can go so far so fast, and the fucking rockets fly faster than anything you can think of. Just go beep. The reason we have bases all over the planet is because military preparation, right? Because they didn't have buttons for bombs back then. They got on the wire, blow these fuckers up, and they had to be there already. Shit, man, we got submarines alone that just pop up and go boom.
We have submarine missiles that go farther than North Korea's entire arsenal. So yeah, I'm right there with you. We could
there's much more efficient ways of doing it. Yeah, we should rule the seas underwater. and to prevent war, to preserve peace, you have to have the threat of war, if you will. That's a concept, the art of war.
Yeah, I understand that concept.
So if we have submarines, who knows where they're at? Don't fuck around, though. That's enough. Diplomacy now. Diplomacy.
I'm personally far a bigger fan of economic and diplomatic policies and politics than military ones, because there's no need to use violence or force when you are literally in charge of nuclear weapons.
Yeah. More embassies, less bases.
Yes.
More schools, less jails, that kind of thing.
Yes. Right? Oh my gosh, we really need to cut the school to prison pipeline in half. We need to just get rid of it.
Legalize drugs. It's empty.
Pretty much. It's a major factor.
Significant.
Yeah, if we get the value of human life, $2,000 a month, we legalize all drugs, that's pretty much all prisoners gone.
I'm going to look this up real quick. Percentage of inmates.
And like you were mentioning how much it's going to cost, like even to do retroactive to someone who's like 100 years old is less than $3 million with my plan. So, I mean, I think that's a good price for someone who's lived through all this,
So as of 2016, 47%, which is half the federal prisoners serving time, were related to drug offenses.
Yep.
Half.
And I can bet you, I would be willing to bet you a couple of grand that another 30% of those people are in there because they couldn't pay some fee.
Or petty crime like theft to buy drugs.
Exactly.
So, here's one on state prisons. It's about 30% for state prisons because states have less serious charges because the drug charges are all federal crimes.
Most of them are felony, yeah.
So, yeah, they're the distribution ones. But the state ones are 30%, 32% for drug-related, non-violent drug-related charges. So, still, let's just say 40. Just split the thing, 40%. That's a lot of fucking people.
It's millions of people, and we have so many people imprisoned. Like we over police a ton, and most of it is because of the war on drugs. Like it's a failed attempt to control a systematic sin that you're not going to control.
No. A systematically implanted problem.
Yes.
Our government created that problem in their laboratories. Acid PCP, acid, is a synthesized hallucinogen. The U.S. government, that's how the Grateful Dead got famous. Think about this, guys. I'm a big history guy. So the Grateful Dead was just some fucking losers down in Ashbury, right, in San Francisco. Hey, man. The government hired them because they had a lab there and said, hey, put on a free concert. We'll pay you. Everyone there has to sign a waiver, take this acid and give us an experiment and sign this thing to let us know what they experienced. Like literal testing on people like fucking guinea pigs for a free concert. The government creates this drug. It was supposed to be a chemical warfare thing for war. It's all about war, right? They say, okay, if we put this in a water system, can we take it over without killing people? Let's make them all trip balls and let's go take over. It's for regime change war type of a thing. So there's PCP would have never existed. Heroin is a naturally growing product, but it wasn't that popular until we started going to wars in places that growed opium. Like, think about it. Our wars created a drug problem. That's 2 government infringements on drugs. 3rd, crack cocaine was implanted on South Central LA by the U.S. government. 100% documented. It's fucking on black and white paper, guys. We, the people, elected officials, infected the community with crack cocaine because we knew it was more addictive. We knew it would destroy their economy and their culture, whatever you want to call it. It was there to destroy. Yeah. I know. I don't know enough about this shit, right? Angel dust, acid. Yeah, whatever it is, acid. Yeah, PCP's angel dust, but do the same thing, kind of.
Kind of.
But the government creates a problem and then charges you to fix it.
That shit. I've had that actually happen to me in real time. I had a neighbor call the cops on my lawn because my rock lawn had too many weeds in it. And apparently there is actually a city ordinance against having too many weeds in your rock lawn. So I had to clear out and clean up my lawn of all these weeds to below 3 inches, because that's what the law says, or face a $20,000 fine. $20,000, because it's a $500 a day fine for over 20 days or 30 days. So it is...
That is strange.
Just absurd that our government can literally write in a problem as a law, put a price tag there like it's nothing,
a law,
and then try and collect on it. Like, my dad actually had to pay $5 to bail himself out of an arrest warrant because of this lawn thing, because this house is technically in his name.
Good God almighty.
And when he told me that, I couldn't help but laugh.
I got $5.
Yeah.
But I don't got 20K.
I know, right? I know. It's absurd.
Well, it's kind of like arresting. Like I know some people have been put in jail for back child support because they lost their jobs. So you put them in jail. And what happens in jail? The mother doesn't accrue any money because you're in jail. So they waive it. You can't afford to pay for child support. We're going to put you in jail because you know you won't make money in jail. And it's going to be hard to get a job if you're recently incarcerated. I'm applying to co-work at Kohl's today. Where you been, bro? I just got out of jail. Okay, circle file that one. You know, like there's such a stigma on this stuff too. Actually, I think you should have a criminal justice reform deep dive of like, once you serve your time, your thing should be expunged.
Yeah.
Expunged. Employable. They're employable once it's expunged. You've paid your debt like a credit debt. You had credit and now you fixed it. And they should, like, again, prisons are made to keep people in place.
They really are.
It's cheaper to say go home under house arrest. That's much more cost effective.
And cheaper to say. What's really upsetting to hear about that is we did, like in the 1800s, make debtor jails, offenses that put people in jail simply because they can't pay a fee, illegal. Because we all collectively agreed it's ridiculous to throw someone in jail because they didn't pay a fee, because they're not going to be able to make money in jail.
Well, and don't forget we have a cash bail system that does the exact same thing. Penalize you for being poor.
Yeah. And
the system is fucked.
That's a holdover from the war on drugs with the mandatory minimums and tough on crime era. Like, I do not understand who wants to actually be tough on crime. Like, to be tough on crime means one of two things. You are either crushing your citizens with oppressive policies, or you are encouraging criminals to be even more violent to escape
to not get caught.
Those laws. So there's no reason to make an arms race happen.
Well, think about this. If you're selling crack cocaine in the 80s, where it was an automatic federal offense, and you'd get like 25 fucking years, man, for possession, not even for intent to distribute. If you were black and brown and you had that rock on you, your ass is gone. We own you in this system. You are now in slave camps. It's called jail.
No, they should be called slave camps because we still have.
It's the 13th Amendment.
That's slavery for that.
Absolutely.
So
now, so again, we create the problem. Give you what you need to put yourself in a problem. We make you addicted. We put you in jail for being brown and down. Bam, 20 fucking years, man.
That I was thinking about this the other day as I was driving. Like, I don't understand why most cars can drive over 100. There's nowhere in the entire country where you legally can drive 3 digits. Like, nowhere.
Yeah. We're creating a problem.
If you're already paying money to a specialized area to do that, you're probably having a souped up car anyways. So why is our government not like regulating car companies to minimize extreme speed damages? Like, just stop it at the source. Don't punish
rich people have all the fast cars, man. It doesn't serve their best interest. Let's be real about that one. That's for sure. American muscle.
Yeah.
American muscle.
And I'm all for that, but like there's got to be checks and balances in some capacity. And if you're not going to have a basic income, then we need to do better.
I also want to say big props to Joe Biden for committing to buy 100% electric vehicles for government.
Yes, that was good.
But also, let's also be real. Nancy Pelosi is a corrupt piece of shit because she bought a couple of million shares of Tesla right before he announced it. And guess what happened? That motherfucker got to go. She's a criminal. She's no better than Martha Stewart.
When I win, I do intend to run for Speaker of the House and take her job because she has done such disservice to so many Americans.
I don't think she'll be there.
No? You don't think she'll be there in a year?
Oh, well, yeah, but you won't be able to challenge her right away.
I think I can make a heckin' good trouble.
Well, the problem is the politics of politics, like even what's her name? AOC knows. She's like, I don't have what I need yet to get that.
I see a major paradigm shift happening. We're going to lose the Republican Party as a national party, and the Democratic Party is going to split. And there's going to be a lot happening. And most of it is that the old guard is going to fall. We all are done with this establishment politics. We all want to see real change happen. We all want to see a dynamic government that solves our problems immediately. And there's only one real way to do that, and that's by changing who's in charge. It's a pretty easy sell.
I'm calling it. The next Speaker of the House is going to be Katie Porter.
Yeah?
She's a fucking animal, and I love her for it.
Yeah, she is great.
She is an analytical surgical instrument. So you say ABC. Well, look at what you did right here. She is the most prepared congresswoman.
All I can say is I'm really glad Katie Porter's a Democrat.
Fuck yeah, man. Katie Porter, man. I don't know why she is. And think about this. She's so good at her job, they would not put her on that committee for the antitrust thing. Is it antitrust? Is it the antitrust board they're making about Facebook and shit? They wouldn't let her be on it?
I'm not sure. I haven't been following Katie that closely.
This is like, well, because I do the trickle up, I do more news, So she asked to be on this thing, and Pelosi's like, we got it. This is her wheelhouse. I think it's antitrust about Facebook and YouTube and all that shit. And she's like, ooh, me. I'm good at that. We got it.
Damn. And that's where you really need someone who like knows their stuff and can be creative and be innovative, because antitrust as it's on the books isn't going to solve Facebook, Amazon, Twitter, and all these giant trillion-dollar companies, because they technically aren't breaking antitrust or using their market share in an unfair way. They're just being big companies, and
they are buying out their competition. That's the whole point.
Well, that's fine. That's completely fine.
I don't think they'll allow them to buy more. Is what I would always. I just say, you know what? Facebook shouldn't be able to allowed to buy Clubhouse or Twitter. You know, they're big enough, fuckers. You know, you can't have the entire share of the market type of thing. But
that's the thing, is that the way that these companies and systems are set up, like on the App Store, they're even if they have several different apps, they are each different apps, and they all have different teams, and they all are essentially different companies that are just divesting their profits to the parent company. Yeah. So I think it's completely normal, and antitrust isn't going to really, as it's currently written, work here. We need a new way of providing antitrust. I think it's more in taxation and collection of value, and ensuring that small businesses do have competitive advantage against these big companies, rather than hindering these big companies to give that advantage.
It's hard to legislate that, though. The problem is it's not just about what's on the books; it's about public perception.
Yes, that's true.
Going to be the biggest thing is public perception.
Yeah.
The public wants it, and they want to do it. They want to pretend to address it by not addressing it, making a committee.
And that's why I talk so much at length about these old establishment ideas, because they are old, they are incrementalists, they aren't what we need. We need big, bold, real change. We need a new social contract.
Yeah. Holy fucking shit. Okay.
Yeah, I'm sorry for keeping you for almost 3 hours.
It's been 50 minutes since I said I was leaving. I'm such an idiot.
Just a good conversation.
No, I'm really hungry now. I just noticed it's 9:50. I'm going to eat dinner at 9:50 at night, which means I'm probably just going to eat a fucking Cliff Bar. Oh, well.
Sorry to keep you.
No, it's all good, though, man. I don't get hungry when I'm talking. Like, literally, I just don't get hungry. I can sit here. I've done a 6.5 hour live stream, so.
Ooh, I'm going to cut you off. And
didn't go pee.
Yeah, I can't go for 6 hours. Like, I need some water here, huh?
Yeah, man. But yeah, guys, thanks for hanging out, man. We'll do it again, and hopefully
we will
circle back around with you again later on when things
start shifting. Sometime in June we should connect again. I'll probably do a media blitz.
Yeah, after Yang sucks all those resources out, there's a huge vacuum that needs to be
Yes, there will be, and that's when I'm laying the wood in the firewood right now to light the match in June, because when he does have that pullback and my special election winds down, there's going to be a massive vacuum for political contribution. So,
well, there's going to be you, there's going to be Erica, Reverend Wendy that we know of right now.
Oh, there's actually quite a few other people like
well, there are, yeah, but I mean like that are Yang adjacent enough within the Yanging that's the quickest that money's going to flow in that direction.
That's true. Yeah.
But of the people might be leading up that charge as far as I'm concerned.
I hope so, because Tom is doing such good work, and Tom has Yang's ear. So once the mayor of New York starts highlighting these cool candidates, I mean, I think we're really going to start seeing a shower of resources and help.
Yeah, Humanity Forward is not going to endorse people no more, candidates no more, they said.
No?
No. Yeah. They had to make a break from Andrew. When he ran for mayor, he couldn't have that nonprofit. So he had to make a separation as a new thing, different people running it. That's why, what's his nuts? Zach is doing the Yang podcast. That's why he's doing that with his girly friend. And yeah, he's pretty much just his personal assistant. And so like Humanity Forward isn't endorsing people, which is I think is stupid on their part, but whatever.
Yeah, I think it is too. I think that he's just trying to follow the Hatch Act a little too closely. Like, I think that he could, especially with his current position, he could really stand to step out and be more bold with his moves.
He could. But he's got to play it safe, man. He wants to win that race. I get it.
Hey, I get it. I'm here to win too. You know, I'm not going to make his mistakes. I'm going to make my own. You know.
You got it, man. Well, all right, guys. Thanks for hanging out, man, for 2 hours and 48 minutes.
And we'll do it for the long conversation.
Good luck, brother.
Indeed.
We'll see you out there, guys.